Guten Abend. Welcome again. This is episode 5 and we're going to crack straight on with some more information about variables. Now, don't worry, we have a few more objectives listed here. So let's get started. What we're going to do first is we're going to define a few variables. And let's do a last name equals Fisher. And let's do a couple of numbers. Both integers in this case. Right. Now we know that two of these are strings and the other two are integers, but for the avoidance of doubt, we can use Python's built-in type function. So we use parentheses just like we do with the print function. And we can see that that is a string, str short for string. Don't worry about what a class is for the moment, that's way down the road. And let's do type of age, and int is short for integer. I won't do the type function on them all. Right, now concatenation is the joining of two or more strings. Now to do concatenation we simply use the plus operator like we've already seen in addition. There we go. Now you might hear people refer to operator overloading. Now that is the fact that the same operator, in this case plus, can mean different things depending on the operands. Now that's getting a bit technical. If you're not aware, if you have a simple sum like 2 plus 3, then 2 and 3 are both operands and the plus symbol is the operator, and 5 would be the result or the sum in this case. Right, so we can see that concatenation simply smashes the two strings together. Now that may not be the result that we want, so one thing we can do is, if we want to print out first name, or in fact let's create another variable, let's go with full name and let's set that equal to first name plus a space plus last name, and then full name is then going to give us Fred Fisher with a space. Excellent. Right, so moving on to dynamic typing, another technical term. Now that refers to the fact that we can change a variable from one type to another. So we set age to be the integer 62. There's nothing stopping us in Python setting that to a string variable. Now in some languages you're not able to do this. Some languages will require that you explicitly declare a variable to be a certain data type, and then any attempt to change it during the running of a program will cause an error. Now that would be static typing, which you'll see in a language such as C, but not in Python. Python does allow dynamic typing. So it's something to be aware of. I mean, at this stage I'm not going to argue pros and cons for the two differences. I think it's possibly quite a controversial subject, so we won't weigh in on that, certainly not for the time being. Right, so let's finish up this video by talking briefly about strong typing. Now that refers to the fact that we cannot coerce variables into different types at runtime. Now this will be much easier to see with an example. So earlier on we set number of beers to be 12, so that is an integer, and first name is Fred, so that's a string. So if we try and do first name, if I can type plus number of beers, we're going to get an error message. Can only concatenate string to string, not integer to string. Now in some languages like JavaScript, it'll quite happily just kind of mash them together and you'd get, well in this case you'd get Fred 12, and I believe it would be a string, but it certainly wouldn't give an error message there. But in Python you're going to run into an error. So again, at this stage, it's just something to be aware of. And if you're in the early days and running your programs and you see this kind of error, then that's something to check for. Am I using the right data types with my variables? Right, okay. So I'm happy that that covers all three here. Again, there's probably more to say about them, so we can come back to that when and if required. But I think with this video and the last one, we've got enough to start using variables comfortably in our programs. Excellent. Now, in the next video, episode 6, I think what we're going to do for the first time is actually run a program from a text editor, or we'll write the program in the text editor rather than just typing quick lines of code into the Python shell. So that is definitely something you can look forward to, and it would mean a great deal to me if you could join me. Hope to see you then. Thank you very much.